Hello, welcome back to DSA design series. So today we are going to solve this problem, range sum query immutable. I believe many of you will find this problem easy. Then why I'm covering this problem? I got three reasons to cover this problem. First, it was asked in an interview, which is enough for me to cover this problem, right? My second reason is the construct we will use, which we will use in this problem, will help us to solve many more problems first. And it is also very important topic if you are preparing, like if you are interested in comparative coding. Okay. Third, this problem is the base problem for the problem which we will do next. Okay. So the next problem is quite tougher, is a tougher version of this problem. So that's why I'm covering this problem first. Okay. So let's see what you have to do here. You have to implement this class. You have to complete this class. In this class, you have a constructor function and you have a sum range function. Okay. This constructor function will initialize an object, and that object will have a nums vector. Okay, let's say you initialize an object, and that object have this vector 0, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this is the vector that object have. Now this sum range function will find the sum in the range left comma right. Okay, and one more thing, the both are inclusive. Both are inclusive. What I mean by that, let's say you this sum range function, you call this sum range function, the parameters you sent were let's say 1 and 3. These were the parameters you sent. Now I want to find the sum in range 1 comma 3. So this is the range I'm talking about. So the sum will be 2 plus 3 plus 4, that is 9. This function will return 9. Okay, so this is what this function do. So we have to implement this class, and let's go to whiteboard and see how we can do this question. Right, now try to understand this question with the help of this example. Okay, so of course this constructor function will initialize an object, and that object will have this vector. Okay, so let me draw this vector here. 2, 3, 4, 5, -2, 0, 3, -5, 2, and -1. 0th index, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Right. So this is the nums array we have. This is the nums array we have. Now we will call this sum range. Okay, we are done with this. Now we will call this sum range function. This sum range function will get the sum in this range. This sum range function will return the sum in this range, right? So what you will do, you will create an iterator which is pointing at 0. Okay, that iterator will run from 0 to 2 and will collect the sum of all the elements present here, right? So we'll create a sum variable. Now we will store all these values in this range, -2 plus 0 plus 3, which is what? 1. So this sum range will return 1. Similarly, this sum range will collect the sum in this range from 2 to 5. Right? What is the sum? 3 minus 5 minus 2 plus 2, 0 minus 1, that is -1. So this sum range will return -1, and this sum range will collect the sum in range 0 comma 5. That is what I'm talking about, this whole vector. So the sum will be -2 plus 0, that is -2, plus 3, that is 1, -5, that is -4, plus 2, that is -2, -1, that is -3. So this sum range function will return -3. So this is how you will implement this function sum range, right? So what will be the complexity of this sum range function? What will be the complexity of the sum range function? You are iterating over the whole array. Let's talk about this query. You are iterating over the whole array. You are iterating over the whole array to calculate the sum in this range, right? So the complexity is O of n. The complexity is O of n, linear time complexity, right? But Now we will try to calculate the sum range. Now we'll try to implement the sum range in just constant time. Okay, so this is the main reason why I'm making this video. Okay, this is the main reason why I'm making this video. So that here in this video, we will try to learn a topic which is very simple yet very useful. Okay, very simple yet very useful. Okay, the topic name is prefix sum. Okay, so this topic is important for interview as well as for competitive coding. If you are into competitive coding, this topic is very important. Okay, so let's see how we can create a prefix sum array. Okay, okay, so this is the array we have for which we will try to create the prefix sum array. So let me draw an array of same size. So this is the array we have of same size. Okay. Now let's talk about let's talk about any position. Let's talk about this position. In this position, I will store the sum in range what? Left most index, comma, current index. I will store the sum of this range here. At every position, I will store the sum of this range. Okay. So let's say, okay, let's say I'm talking about this position first. My I pointer is pointing at 0th index. Okay. So what is the leftmost index? It is 0. What is my current index? That is 0. So I want to store the sum of this range at this position. Okay. What is the sum? The sum of range 0, 0 is what? -2. Simple. So I will store -2 here. As simple as that. Okay. Now I will increment my ith pointer. Now I will increment my ith pointer. Now I want to store here the sum of range what? What is the leftmost index? It is 0. What is the current index? Is 1. So here I will store the sum of this range. Okay. Now how will I calculate the sum of this range? Very simple. Can I divide this range into 2 ranges? Let me just do it like this. Okay. Can I divide this range into 2 ranges? Yes, I can. What are those ranges? 0, 0 inclusive, 1, 1 inclusive. I can divide this range into 2 ranges. Now I know. Okay, let me first show it here. This is the range I want to calculate the value for, right? I have divided this range into 2 parts, that is this part and this part, right? I have already stored this part here. I've already stored this part at I minus 1th index, right? Okay. I can calculate this part directly from my nums array. This is my, just a second. This is my nums array, right? This is my nums array. I can calculate this value directly from the same index which I'm talking about. I'm talking about the first index. The value present at the first index of my nums array is the value of this range, right? So I can simply add both the values, which is the previous value plus this value, the previous value plus this value. So -2 plus 0, that is what? -2. Correct? Okay, let's move forward. Okay, now my iterator I is pointing here. What is the range? The range is leftmost index, that is 0. Current index is what? 2. So I have to store the sum of this range here. Correct? Okay. Okay, let's calculate it. Let's divide this range into 2 parts. Let's divide this range into 2 parts. the part is 0, 1 and 2, 2. So this is the range for which I have to calculate the sum. I have divided this range into two parts. That is this range plus this range. The sum of this range is already stored in the previous index position, is already stored here, correct? And the sum of this range I can get from my nums array, which is present at the same index of my nums array, this 3, right? It means here, to calculate this value, what I can do here, I can simply add my previous value, that is -2, plus I can add the value present at the same index of this nums array, which is 3. So -2 plus 3 is what? 1. Okay. Similarly, let's move forward and fill all the boxes. Okay. So my index is here. What is the new range? Is from 0 to 3. I can divide this range. I can divide this range into two parts. That is this and this. The sum of this part is already stored here, and the sum of this part is stored here. I can simply add both the values and fill it here. So it will be 1 plus -5. That is -4. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the new range. Let me erase this. Okay, now the new range is what? 0, 4, which can be divided. This is the range, which can be divided into two parts, this and this. The value of this range is already stored here. The value of this range is stored here. I can simply add both the values and place it here, right? So -4 plus 2, that is -2. Done. -2 is the value, is the sum of this range. The -2 is the sum of this range from 0, 4, right? Okay, let's talk about the next value. That is my I will point at the fifth index, sorry. So the range is 0, 5. Correct, the range is 0, 5. So this is the range I'm talking about, which can be divided into two parts, this part and this part. The value of this part is stored here. The value of this part is stored here. Simply add both the values and place it here. 2 plus -1, that is 1. Just a second. It is not 2, it is -2, because -4 plus 2 is -2. And -2 plus -1 is what? -3. Okay. Yes. So now we have successfully calculated, or you can say pre-processed, our prefix sum array or prefix sum vector. Okay. Now we will use this array. To implement this sum range function in just constant time. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Okay, let's redraw this prefix sum array, and let's try to implement this sum range function in constant time. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. Zeroth index, first index, second index, third index, fourth index, and fifth index. So we have -2 here, we have -2 here, we have 1 here, we have -4 here, we have -2 here, and we have what? -3 here. Right? Yes. So this is the prefix sum array. This is the prefix sum array we have. Okay. Right. Now let's try to implement this sum range function. Let's try to calculate the value of this sum range function in just constant time. Okay. Now I want to find the sum in this range. Now I want to find the sum in range 0, 2. So where I have stored the sum of range 0, 2? At position, at index 2, sorry, at index 2. At index 2, I have stored the sum of range 0, 2, right? at this position, I have sum of this range, right? So for this, I can simply return what? Prefix of, let's say this is L, left value, and this is right, R, this is the right value. So I can simply return prefix of R, constant time, done, right? Okay, let's talk about the next sum range function and next query. Okay, this is done. Let's talk about this sum range. Okay, I want to calculate the query of range 2, 5. I want to calculate the range of query 2, 5, right? So the sum of range 0, 5 is present at what position? At fifth index, right? Okay, the sum of range 0, 5, I'm talking about this range, is present at fifth position, fifth index, correct? Okay, now I want to calculate the sum of range 2, 5. What I want to calculate is the sum of range this. I am talking about this range. I am talking about this range. To calculate the sum of this range, I can simply do one thing. I can simply subtract the sum of this range from this range to get this range. Correct or not? I will repeat one more time. To calculate the sum of this range 2, 5, I can simply do one thing. I can simply subtract the sum of this range from this 0, 5 range. What I will get? I will get this portion. I will get sum of this portion. Correct? So this is how you will calculate this range. Okay. So what is the sum of this whole range? Is -3. Let me choose another color. Let me choose black color. Okay. The sum of this range 0, 5 is what? -3. The sum of range 0, 1 is what? -2. Subtract -3. Sorry, subtract -2 from -3. You will get -3 plus 2. That is -1. So now you can see the sum of this range is what? -1. Look at this vector. 3 minus 5 is what? -2. Plus 2 is what? 0. Plus -1 is what? -1. Okay. Yes. So this is how you will calculate the range of this query. Calculate the sum of this range. Okay. Now I want to calculate the sum in range 0, 5. So I simply know the sum of range 0, 5 is stored at what position? At fifth index, at fifth position. I will simply return this -3. Done. Okay, let's talk about one more query. The query is 3, 4. Okay, let's work for this. So I know if I want to calculate the sum in range 0, 4, that value is stored at index 4, right? If I want to calculate the sum of this range, I can simply return this value. Okay. Now, what is the range for which I want to find the value? I want to find the value for this range. How can I find the value for this range? I can simply subtract this range from this whole range. I can simply subtract the value of range 0, 2 from the value of range 0, 4 to get the value of range 3, 4. Simple. Okay. So what I will do here, what is the value of range 0, 4? What is the sum of range 0, 4? It is simply -2. It is simply -2. Okay, it is simply -2. What is the sum of range 0, 2? It is 1. It is what? 1. Now I have to subtract this 1 from -2. So -2 minus 1 is what? -3. So the value of range 3, 4 is what? -3. You can see here the value of this range is what? -5 plus 2 is what? -3. Okay. So this is how you will use the prefix sum array to implement this sum range function in just constant time. Okay. It was simple. Now let's try to code it, right? Yeah. So this is how you will use the prefix sum array to calculate or to implement the sum range function. Okay, to calculate the sum in given range in just constant time. Okay, I hope you guys understood the explanation. So now let's code it. Let's code it. Okay, let me first initialize the vector. Let's name it prefix. Done. In the constructor function, I will use this nums vector to create my prefix sum. Okay. So let's talk about an example. Let's do this with the help of an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is my prefix sum vector. My first value will be the same value, right? 1. So let me push the first value. Prefix dot push back what? Nums of 0. Now let's create a loop which will run from I while I is less than what? Nums dot size. Okay. Now you know that here we fill two values. What are those values? The previous value of our prefix sum plus the value which is present at the same index of my nums array, right? So here I will store what? 2 plus 1, right? So I will create a variable val and I will store two values here. That is the value present at the index I of nums array plus the value present at the previous index of the prefix sum array, the prefix of I minus 1. Okay, then I will push this value in my prefix sum array. So now I have successfully implemented my prefix sum array. Done. This is how you will implement your prefix sum array. Now let's talk about this sum range function. Okay. So let me go to whiteboard again. We know that if the range is from 0 to 5, let's say if the first value of a range and the left value of a range is 0, we can simply return the value present at the right index. Okay, R index. So if the left value of my range is 0, I can simply return value present at index right. Okay. Else, what I'm doing? Else, what we are doing here? For this value 2, 5, what we have done? The value of range 0, 5, the value of range, just a second. Okay, the value of range is 0, 5, right? I want to calculate the value of range 2, 5. So from the value of range 0, 5, I will subtract the value of range 0, 1 to get the value of range 2, 5. Okay. So what I will do here, I will simply return what? Prefix of right minus prefix of left minus 1. Okay, done. We have successfully implemented this sum range function in constant time. But remember, the pre-processing, the prefix sum array creation will be done in O of n time. After that, you can answer any query in just constant time. Okay. Yes, let's try to run it. Let's see if there are any errors or not. Okay. So yes, it's getting accepted. Let's submit it. Okay, it is getting submitted. Yeah, so you already know about the time complexity. The space complexity will be O of n because we are creating a prefix sum array and there are n values. So the space complexity will be O of n. Okay, so yeah, done. So this question was the base of the next question, which we will do tomorrow. Okay. So if you really like the explanation, please like and comment on this video because your comment will really motivate me to make better videos. And I promise you some crispy problems are coming, some crispy videos are coming. So yes, please share this video with your friends, with your classmates. And thanks for watching and keep going to the next video.